Welcome back to Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. Today's episode, we're gonna discuss, is the uppercut the most underutilized strike in combat sports? For those who've been following the channel for some time, know that I always say low kicks and calf kicks and uppercuts are the most underused strikes when it comes to combat sports. But lately, with this resurgence of the low kicks and calf kicks, we're seeing them so often that I almost have to eliminate low kicks and calf kicks as an underused strike. It's almost being overused, and we're seeing a lot of people get injured, countered, and hurt throwing these calf kicks now. So now I have one that I'm gonna call as the most underrated strike when it comes to combat sports. What happens is we all become knockout hungry, power hungry, so when we get someone hurt, the big idea is we wanna come in and smash these big punches. But when you look at the defensive position when someone's hurt, they shell up in this direction. So really, automatically, by defending yourself in the safety head guard mode, you're blocking these punches. So when I'm sitting here wasting all this energy blasting punches off my opponent's guard, some of them might be landing, but it's still a lot of energy. And how many times have we seen that person sitting in that shell survive, recover, come back, and end up winning the fight because the other person gassed themselves out? All it takes in that little situation is a quick pause. So even if I'm blasting off, it's a quick pause to just shoot that shot up the middle. Hands here, your opponent can't see it, and you get the big knockouts. And that's the big frustrating things when I see someone get someone hurt. Or the other thing you could do is hit the body. Too many times we sit here, blast the head. If you just mix the body quickly, then rip that uppercut, now you're setting up the uppercut a little bit more effectively. Now, when I posted this picture on my Instagram of me throwing a nice rear uppercut, I said true or false, the uppercut is an underutilized strike. And most people agreed with me saying, yes, it is underutilized. But the big issue is people saying, all the masters out there and all the online instructors, we'll call them, all say yes, but it's a vulnerable strike. You get hit, you open yourself to the strike, which is very true. But if you read the small fine of my print, I said a well set up uppercut and a well placed. So the importance of a good uppercut is the setup. Yes, if I'm gonna sit here with my opponent and come in with a nice lead uppercut, my whole face becomes exposed. So if someone's counterpunching me and I try to throw a lead uppercut, look at that big space. So I have to set them up. I'm using feints, and then I'm mixing them up. I'm maybe using straight punches to get the punch up the middle. So it all comes to how you set up this uppercut, which makes it effective. But even in those fight situations, sometimes the setup might be that pause. So if someone's hurt, take a quick pause, rip up the middle. And it doesn't really matter the side, right? So making sure when you do hit, you do follow up. If I'm hitting and I keep my hand here, no matter who you are and who you're fighting, the defensive shell, you're gonna most likely get a big power punch thrown at you. So even when I'm in these situations blasting, I need to be ready to block these shots. And usually that's when I like to mix in my uppercuts. So I know when I'm blasting here, I'll try to mix in levels, but ideally they're gonna blast out of that shell. Whether it's one hook or the other hook, my hands are here. So if I'm hooking, I can block and then rip that uppercut. Block the shot, rip the uppercut. So those are an effective way to set it up. That's on the inside now. So block, uppercut, or round punches, uppercut. That's more of the intermediate style. Now, if I'm an advanced fighter, I want to set them up a little bit more from the outside. This is where I play with my straight punches, head movement, angles. Feinting is really important to land an uppercut because of the open space. So if I want to land a rear uppercut, by coming here, too dangerous. But if I feint and my opponent gives me a defensive reaction, boom, they put their hands here, so I can feint, boom. That's my shot. So I use the feint to set it up. Ideally, you're gonna use your straight punches to mix them up, because what a straight punch does, if I jab someone to the head, boom, I get their hands to come up. Boom, I get their hands to come up. So I get this reaction of them blocking. So boom, boom is a good shot. 1, 2, follow the uppercut, follow the rear hand. Now, when we talk about advanced application and putting the whole discussion together. So one, we want to set them up. That's the importance. Using straight punches, feinting on the outside, getting my opponent to shell before I uppercut is the big thing. So shell with a feint, shell with some straight punches. What about blasting hooks? You know, that Mike Tyson stuff, hook to the head, uppercut. Again, the hook forces my opponent to have to block outside. Block opens up the middle. So hook, uppercut is a good setup. Jab, jab, uppercut. Or the best, one rear, follow uppercut. Block, slip right up the middle. That's the effective way of landing them. Now, footwork, ideally, when you blast these shots, you don't want to stay square in front of your opponent. That's the biggest problem. So if we're head to head and our forearms are in line, right, it's very difficult for me to get that uppercut down the middle, right? Because a nice uppercut, my elbow's gonna stay nice close to my body, and I'm gonna throw a nice vertical line. If I'm forearm to forearm and I try to throw an uppercut this way, it's not gonna work. I need to get my uppercut in the middle of my opponent's hand, so here. So ideally, what I wanna do is I wanna create an angle. So if our hands are lined up, that slight angle now puts my rear hand in the middle of my opponent's hands. That's the key to the nasty uppercut. So any of these setups, you know, the feinting, boom, I get the reaction. What I do now is I angle shuffle to drive that uppercut down the middle. And that's the advanced application of landing the uppercut. So they're blocking, you get your opponent against the ropes, which is my uppercut back here, feint, get them against the ropes. All of a sudden I get the shell, I angle off, and then I drive that uppercut, okay? So from my southpaw position, whatever it is, boom, I get a feint, angled shuffle, now my hand's right down the middle, and I get that big driving uppercut down the middle, okay? So whether you set them up outside, which is a little bit more dangerous, but if you set it up properly, you can get the big shot down the middle, right? There's close uppercuts, and then there's long uppercuts, you know, inside lead uppercut, longer uppercuts. The longer the uppercut, the more risk you're at. So those have to be set up well. And on the inside, try to create those subtle angles. This way you get nice rotation, good power, and I need a nice vertical uppercut down the middle. So, do I still believe the uppercut is the most underused weapon in combat sports now? Yes, I do. It takes a little bit of intelligence to add. I know it's a basic strike, right? You think about it, you learn your jab, cross, hook, uppercut. But in fights, we're not seeing them enough. Hey, if you're a striker, fighting a wrestler in MMA, they gotta dip their head. So even feinting uppercuts, it's gonna make a good, you know, strategy for you as the fight goes on. Nobody wants to eat an uppercut. Eating knees, uppercuts, front kicks, any big shot coming down to up is one of the most nastiest shots to land. Those jump knees to the face, uppercuts, snapping that head, you get those big nasty knockouts. So set them up properly, be careful, move your head, and just set them up. And when you do set them up and you do land them, nothing beats the follow-up after the uppercut. And 10 out of 10 times, let's say 9 out of 10 times, uppercut follows, boom, that lead hook, and that's when you get the nasty knockouts. I don't want to just stop here. I pop the head. This is when I need to add that rotational force that will give me the knockout. So set them up, boom, once I crack them, finish up and get your knockouts. Hope you enjoyed today's lesson and tips, and we'll see you next time here at Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. Make sure you support the channel sponsors, HayabusaFight.com, as well as Perfect Sports Nutrition. Use code Bazooka20 to get 20% off. Merchandise for Bazooka Kickboxing, head over to bazookashop.com, and we'll see you on our next episode.